Most people can't guard anybody one-on-one. The rules are different now, but when we played,
You got to be able to talk to your guards that this guy's open, rotate over.
Any pick and roll, we're driving.
We don't let this ball come into here. We're not letting them come into here.
You need to recognize when you're not on the ball, where do your teammates need help at?
You would know right when you can't throw it. As soon as they're cutting, Five would have a clear out to go with her right hand right behind it.
Hello everyone, welcome to Scouting Report. I'm your host, Timothy Gray, Associate Head Men's Basketball Coach at Spalding University. Today my special guest is an individual who needs no introduction. He's known in the NBA circles and community, a very talented professional, former player of the NBA. His name is Derek Anderson.
it's good to be here, man. Looking forward to the scouting report.
I appreciate you for being here. Now, what I'd like to talk to you a little bit about is your past experiences from being in the NBA, being that also in the college, being that you played at Ohio State, then you transferred to UK and then on up into the NBA. Talk about those experiences for me.
People laugh about it, but I tell them the best time of my life was college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to worry about money, no fame. It was basically me being a young man who loved the game of basketball, and I got to be a young man and enjoying students, community. Like, it was just fun. I got to have the experience of just living life.
Mm-hmm.
No pressures, no anything. Nobody expected you to do anything. Just work hard, do your job, and have fun. So college was the best time of my life, man. And people be like, more than NBA? I'm like, trust me, it's a lot more than NBA. NBA was financially stable, but when you're a young man looking to have fun, enjoy the game of basketball, nobody was expected to make millions of dollars. I didn't play for that. I played for the love, and then just going to school, man, having a great time, being on campus. I just remember every day having fun in school, man. So college was great for me, man. I enjoyed it.
Well, a quick question. I think maybe some people want to know the story of what got you to transfer from Ohio State to UK. What was the notion behind that?
I think probably want to know the beginning of why I didn't go to Louisville.
Okay.
And that was a big thing because me, DeJuan Wheat, and Jason Osborne were scheduled. We were all saying, let's go play for Louisville. We're hometown guys, pretty well known. We said, let's go play. Me and DeJuan would go, and then Jason would follow. And that would be a hometown guys that we could actually win a championship with. That was our goal. You know, we talked about it and had fun. Denny Crum at the time, the head coach at the University of Louisville, didn't tell me if he's going to redshirt me or not. And he had recruited so many guys in the same position. I'm like, well, tell me if you're going to redshirt me. He didn't call me for an entire week. And I was just like, what's going on? And I talked to the assistant coach, but he said he's going to call me, but he never called. So Ohio State drove down, Randy Ayers drove down 3 hours from Columbus, Ohio to tell me he'd give me a scholarship. But a coach who's 20 minutes away from me couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I felt like he was trying to hold me back, and I didn't agree with that. And UK had get all the scholarships because I was going to Louisville.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to sign, have my scholar letter of intent and everything ready to go, and he didn't tell me. And it kind of broke my heart at the time. But I said, this is a different path I must be on. So I chose Ohio State, and went to Ohio State, had a great career, second team Big Ten behind Chris Webber, Jalen Rose. I was second team Big Ten, so I was having a great career there. Tore my left ACL up. They were going on probation, lost a lot of players to transfers or whatever. So I sat out, transferred to Kentucky to sit out and rest my knee. The next year I won a national championship, and we had a great time. And my senior year I was All-American and averaging 20 points and tore my right knee. And I think those trials helped me be a better player when I got to the NBA. I took care of my body and learned how to be a man and face adversity, and it taught me a lot about life.
And I don't think a lot of people understand how talented you were, because from the standpoint of you tearing one ACL at Ohio State and then tearing the other one at UK, and then the mere fact that you were still drafted 13th overall.
Yeah.
That says a lot about your abilities.
Yeah.
So I don't think people really understand the magnitude of that notion in itself. And let's talk about a little bit about the whole draft process. You being drafted 13th overall. Talk about that process that you went through in order leading up, especially dealing with the knee situation. What was your process going through that?
The process was very unique because I didn't finish the season. I played 18 games in my last year. And everybody was waiting to see if I was healthy. And when they saw that I was healthy, it was so many scouts watching me work out. You would have thought I was the number one pick. And they were trying to say, is he really back? Is he healthy? And they couldn't get a gauge. And I think the process was more overwhelming to me because everyone was watching me thinking about my injury, not that my talent. Like, they forgot all about the talent. They were like, well, is he healthy? Like, people were if he's healthy, we're going to draft him. And I'm hurt. Like, I was going to number 2 pick. Then I went to number 4. Then we got to number 9. And it was like everyone was nervous. So everybody said, we don't want him to play, but we'll draft him if he's healthy. And what happened was guys started coming in and training, and I didn't get to play. So they saw other guys play, and I didn't get to play. So that's why I got drafted considerably later than I was supposed to go, but because I couldn't play. And they didn't want me to play. So it was like, okay, who's going to take a chance? And lo and behold, So like a couple weeks before the draft, I was cleared to play full go, and Cleveland is the first team that flew me in. And then I got to play other places, but it was too late at that point because pretty much teams had their mind made up. And I was just fortunate enough to get drafted, man. But I was able to get a chance to play, and I think that's when my stock went up higher because I got to show that I was healthy.
Okay. Well, today on Scouting Report, what we're going to discuss is we're going to talk about the shooting guard position today. Okay, and I know you have a lot of knowledge on that. And so what we're going to do is touch on the process, the qualities, and what that position should mean, and what it brings to the table for a coach and the team today on Scouting Report.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it going.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, now today we're going to discuss the qualities of a shooting guard. So as we go through a list and we sit here and we talk about the different variations and variables that we would want a shooting guard to have and embody for us as a coach or as a teammate, what do you think are the qualities when you talk about a shooting guard, when you talk about that word leader for a shooting guard, what does that mean to you?
For me, I think a leader, especially the shooting guard, was people depend on you to do your job. Where it could be scoring, making plays. And for me I always had to make sure that I allowed my teammates to know I'm going to perform and I'm going to do my job tonight. You know, and for like a Michael Jordan, we were better players and we were scorers. So we took the leadership on to tell, hey guys, I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna be in controlled aggression. So I'm gonna be in attack mode the whole night, but you understand, like, I'm still going to get you the ball if you're open. I'm talking to my teammates and say, believe in what I'm doing because I'm going out to get this game. You know, it wasn't about me getting 50 points or nothing like that. It was basically saying, hey, I'm coming to work. You be ready to work just as hard as I'm about to work. So as a two guard, we were just taking leadership on because we had a job to do. And I don't care if it's like a Ray Allen who's a shooter. He still had a job to do. And I think we understood that as players, as making sure our leadership role was to come in and keep everybody at the same even keel that you want, but you had to be in controlled aggression at all times. So it was great for me to be able to have that leadership.
Gotcha. So now we want to go to the next term, and the next term we want to talk about is a communicator. Because once again, a point guard's nature of communication is different than a two guard or 3 or 4 or 5. So for a two guard, what would the communication feel like to you?
It was basically, I see the game different. So if a point guard's bringing the ball up, I'm watching the other guys, watching how the bigs are setting screens. So I can relay that to my teammate, my point guard. Say, hey, man, they're hedging on me hard. Watch the slip for the big. I'm watching the game. So as a two guard, the communication has to be recognizing how the game is being played. Recognize if they're trapping pick and rolls. So I don't want to leave my point guard for dead, and I'm just running through to get the ball, and they're shooting the gap. I got to start communicating with him, eye contact, hey, watch me, and I'll fake up, and he knows to look at back door because they're being aggressive on me. So as a communicator, you got to watch the game. A lot of guys just wanting to get the ball. It's more than that. So I watch the game. I'm looking when I'm coming down court, seeing, oh, they're sagging over here. I'm telling my point guard, go here. I'm telling my other bigs to back screen me and just to get them off tilt. The game is communication, is watching the game. But if you're just watching the ball and worrying about you can't communicate because you're just worrying about yourself.
Exactly. So then the next thing that trickles, because at the end of the day, when you're speaking of communication in a way, a lot of things you're talking about deals with IQ. So the next term would be IQ. So IQ as a two guard, what would that mean to you?
As a two guard, IQ again is basically understanding the game. Has nothing to do with my talent at that point because I'm gonna go against a lot of people just as good as me, athletically or whatever. But I think if I can outthink that dude and I can help my team outthink the other team, that's when we become a better team and my game gets to shine more. So now if I get a backdoor layup, that's a dunk, I'm in the highlight reel. Now if I run my man off a screen, tell my big to come up, slip, he gets a layup, we all look good. So I think the IQ is understanding the game. And I think that comes from me expressing at the beginning of the game, hey, I'm ready to play with controlled aggression. I'm watching the game, telling people how to see the game with me, and then my IQ wears off on them. And I think that's a big difference is if you're quiet, what you think the rest of the team doing? They're quiet, so nobody's getting smart. So for me, I always kind of wanted to be the guy with a high IQ so I could actually help change the game, not from just a physical, but a mental standpoint.
Of course. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the temperament under pressure because as a two guard, the thing is you've played in national championship in '96 with UK and then in NBA NBA championship, so you know the pressure that goes. So being a two guard, what would that temperament under pressure be like for you?
I was fortunate enough to work with Michael Jordan, and he taught me a lot about that. So when I used to play, when I was even younger, I had controlled aggression again, but I was more focused on what I shot free throws. So I would go to the line and focus everybody out. I would think that I was on a Southwick court dribbling. I had with no nets on the rim. So I would go at 1 dribble, 2 dribble, hold it, catch it, hold my follow through. So that became a habit. So when I'm nervous, it was still a habit. 1, 2, and I shot. So I created the pressure for myself when no one was around. So in a game, it was easy. People like, man, how you making free throws and you ain't played in 4 months and it's 40,000 people? I'm like, I did the same thing I've been doing. I blocked you out and I concentrated on my technique. People lose technique at the end of games because they're nervous.
Exactly.
Not the fact that you can be nervous, but don't lose technique.
Exactly.
And I think that's what the temperament under pressure is creating habits that you face like that. Because sometimes you'll see a guy who's never been faced with that, and it'll mess him up. I won't say a guy's name, but it was a championship game against Memphis, and a championship, and this kid missed 2 free throws. He shot 90% the whole year, and he missed 2 because he was nervous. He did this and walked out of it. He did something else, and it wasn't his technique. But you watch him in the first part of the game, hold his follow through, watch the ball go in the net.
No pressure.
So exactly. So the temperament of a pressure, you have to practice that, and then you have to get in a habit to block things out. Those are habits that you have to practice.
And the one thing is we try and instill that in the kids on a consistent basis. And I don't think, and even when we were younger, we might have kind of overlooked it a little bit, but at some point it kicked in fast for us. Like, I gotta practice the way I play because the game is completely different. The pressure, the speed, the tempo, it's completely different, and we try and instill that in the kids, but hopefully they'll get it soon enough. Okay. Now the next thing we want to talk about is, once again, you kind of already touched on it a little bit in reference to knowledge with IQ, but the thing is we want to talk about being knowledgeable of the offense, because as a two guard, 9 times that's why it's called the shooting guard. Because you're going to be one shooting, and if you're knowledgeable of the offense and how to operate and what to do, you'll be able to create as many shots as you want in offense. So could you touch on that subject a little bit?
Well, I think the knowledge of the offense is basically watching the game. Like, I'm watching how it's being played. So when I watch the offense, I will know exactly what my teammate is good at. If I know he likes to dribble left, I'm going to say, hey, come over here and screen me, and then you get on the wing. So I'm putting him in a better position when he don't even know it. I'm saying, I don't need you on that side because you're going to probably duck your head and get a charge. Like, I'm watching the game and seeing how my teammates are. If my teammate likes to jump, he jumps higher on the left than he does on the right, come on this side on the left. I'm trying to maximize them. So my job is the knowledge of the offense is knowing your players, your player personnel. You know, everybody say KYP, know your players. And I think that's what I try to instill in my offense, is knowing how to get my players in better position. Because anybody can draw up a play, but can your players execute it? And I think that's what you have to put players in those positions. So knowledge of the offense comes with a lot with the players. Because if they run the play right, it could be the worst player in the world. If he runs a fake backdoor, he'll get a layup. He could be the slowest kid, can't dunk, can't do anything. But if he runs it right, sets you up, eye contact, fake, like the excitement of it, and then go backdoor, anybody can run it. But a lot of these kids don't think the knowledge. They just run out and use talent too much. So I think the knowledge of the offense needs to come with players.
Yeah. All right, so next we're going to talk about making teammates better. Now, of course, we talk about leadership, okay, but there is a difference between making kids, because the nature we're talking about, communication and leadership, is different from making the teammates better. But as a two-guard, how would you see to make this fit you?
For me, I have to make sure my teammates believed in me. They wouldn't be like, he just going to shoot all the balls. Like, now they're mad at me. But I think, I think my teammates, I have to make them better by being positive with them. And I think me saying, you know what, don't worry about it. You make the next layup. He might miss 4 layups in a row. Instead of me yanking him and say, hey, I'm going to get him and say, hey, come on, man, concentrate, make that layup. But it's not like, what you doing? Oh, man, like my body language has to change. And I think for me growing up, my entire life was always to make my teammates better by talking to them and encouraging them. If I did that, my teammates wouldn't quit on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see a lot of guys quit on each other because the leader who's shooting all the balls is complaining. But we ain't complaining about you shooting all the balls. Why are you complaining to us about missing a layup or two?
Exactly.
So my thing is making teammates better by communicating with them and giving good body language. That body language is key. A lot of NBA scouts draft people off of body language more than they do talent sometimes, because it's even. So if an NBA coach is looking at you and he say, well, you the same player, like Tim, you and Derek, same player, and I got a good body language and you don't, he won't take a chance with me because of my body language.
Exactly.
And I think my teammates feed off of me when I do. They see me being encouraging, they'll die for a loose ball and get it to me.
Yeah.
They say, I got to, come on, DA's going hard, I got to get it to him. Come on, I'm going to run. I encourage that, and then they encourage in return, they play harder and they don't quit on you.
Yeah. Now, we want to talk about one thing about the nature of, once again, because we're talking about the shooting guard position, we want to talk about being efficient, because once again, you talk about the notion of shooting the ball. And the thing is, like you said, with your teammates, because the thing is, if they know you're going to shoot anywhere, you know, if you're talking about a 48-minute game, and you're going to shoot anywhere from 16 to 24 shots, okay, you want to statistically be efficient. Because the thing is, you know, at the end of the day, you can shoot maybe even 30 on a real, like if you just like, it's just coming to me, I'm just shooting 30 tonight. But the thing is, you still want to be efficient. So could you talk about the efficiency nature?
I always try to, when I was playing efficiently, I was always trying to figure out how to get 5 points a quarter from middle school. A layup, 1 shot, 1 free throw. So efficient was like, don't shoot all the balls, make the one that you get. So if I only got, 1 shot a quarter, I'm trying to make that shot. So since I was in middle school, I played with great players. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Passing lanes and steal, that's a layer for me. So being efficient scorer is not just shooting the ball. It was always doing the intangibles like the offensive rebounds, the steals in the passing lane, the hitting setting the screen for somebody to get you a slip, creating stuff. So I learned to play the whole game as a two guard. Then when I got to shoot the ball, now it's like, where do I get my sweet spot? Where am I getting to a place where I know I'm dominant at? How can I make the defense move and not just watch me? So now I got to kind of get my teammates involved, but I also got to set the tone by being aggressive. So first time I would play, I would pass fake, make the defense shift, and I would drive to the basket and try to dunk it. Everybody's gonna foul me. First play of the game. You're not ready for that dude to come at you that hard on the first play of the game. So my mind was, let me get the defense moving. Hey, come on. And I would fake pass it and drive as hard as I could. I would duck my head and go start as I can and just take off. Guys are fouling because they're not ready for that. They come out of warm up all cute and all this and that. Then I'm ready in the straight kill mode. So when they say, yo, he's coming, y'all better get ready. And they all joking and laughing. First play, I'm coming right at you. And once I started to see defenses sag on me, I could wait to the second play. But I had to be efficient by understanding how people were guarding me, how I saw the game, and then also I had to shoot the shots that I was good at. I wasn't shooting 40-foot threes because I wasn't good at that. I'm on the line shooting that shot.
You see what I'm saying?
So I'm shooting what I'm good at. I'm mid-range, I'm pull-up, I'm fade-away, 15-footer. I got floaters, I got left, right. I'm trying to get to the basket. If I pump fake you and drive to the basket, I'm putting my arm up so I'm trying to get an and one. I'm not just begging for foul. So I had to know what I was good at, and then I mixed in everything else.
But even if we talk about efficiency, like you're talking about in reference to shooting 40-foot threes. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like I tell kids, if I'm standing on a three-point line, at the end of the day, if I'm standing on a three-point line, what am I shooting? I'm shooting a two. I'm shooting a two. If I'm standing on that line, I'm shooting a two. So my thing is, if I'm not behind that three-point line, I want to get as close as I can to the basket because at the end of the day, it's a what? It's a two.
It's the same one you shoot
it's a two. So if it's a two, I want to get as close so I can shoot a high percentage efficient shot and knock it down, period, point blank.
Right.
So that's the one thing we talk about, efficiency.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is it's back to shooting. We want to talk about the thing as a two guard, you want to be a knockdown shooter because there's only so many shots you want to get. You're going to get in the game, and the thing is, if you're open, you want to knock it down as that two guard.
Yeah, and that's the same thing. Is I don't shoot to be shooting the ball. Every time I shoot it, I'm like, man, make it go in. I'm watching, hold my follow through, watch the ball go in, watch it. I'm not just doing this. My concentration when I first shoot the ball is watch the ball go in. So it becomes a habit of mine. Like I keep watching the ball going, So at the free throw line, if I'm shooting a 10-footer, 15-footer, fade away, I'm still watching the ball go. I'm not just doing this. I'm trying to make my shot so my technique can't change. So to be a knockdown shooter, you have to have the same technique most of the time, and you have to have a mental focus saying, what are you doing when you shoot the ball? Your mind's got to be, I'm making it. You know how many times guys that shoot say, I don't know why I shot it? I just shoot it. Because it's mentally not there. He's just shooting a volume, a number of shots. So to me, I always wanted to be a knockdown shooter, so I focused on making the 15-footers. I would shoot 10 free throws, 10 bank shots after every practice, and shoot 100 free throws after every practice. This is after practice. So I mastered something.
But the funny thing is, what type of shot did you just say? What was the first one you said?
A bank shot. Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, when I was on the staff at U of L, okay, and I would play knockout. I mean, a horse with guys.
Oh yeah.
I would play horse with Russ Smith and those guys. They would get mad because I would shoot bank shots.
They can't shoot bank shots.
They hated it.
Yeah.
At the block, elbow, bank shot. They said all they're gonna do is shoot bank shots. Well, develop your eye. So it used to be funny to me with that stuff.
Yeah. That's
okay.
it.
So now the next concept we want to talk about is exceptional ball handling skills. Now, as a two guard, once again, because it kind of makes your offense a dual threat. Your point guard can handle the ball well, and your two guard can handle the ball well. Right. So instead of it just being primary, the one handling the ball. So talk about the nature of the two guard handling the ball.
Well, I was a point guard growing up until I grew 5 inches in like one summer. So it was like I was fortunate enough, but I wasn't taught to dribble between my legs. I was taught to do like Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson just kept his head up and protected the ball. So I did that, and I would run fast, protect the ball. I just kept my eyes up with my arm protecting the ball. So I never had great handles until I got to like the 8th and 9th grade, and then they were like, "Oh man, he can dribble," because I would normally just run a team like this, just protect the ball. How many times Magic Johnson crossed anybody up? You ain't never seen him cross somebody. He protected the ball, went full speed, fake, go this way. He used his body language, his body movements to create space. So I learned that. So when I got to be a two guard, now I could dribble and I could in and out you with this size, but I use my eyes to get you going. So if I hit you with this and you see me and I go that way, your eyes follow mine. So I learned as a point guard to make people follow my eyes when my body can shake. Y'all, people are doing this, your eyes are down. It's a guessing game. But if I hit you with this and I go that way and hit that way, your eyes are following mine. So I learned to use my eyes in that way. So my exceptional ball skills came with my eye movement. Once I tricked people to move their bodies, my ball movement became better. So if I hit you with an in here, it was easy for me because I got my body moving. So I think exceptional ball skills is the ones that you need to do when you can move your eyes. Anybody can dribble with, it's people right now that can dribble with 2 balls with their eyes closed. Get him in a game and he can't make an in and out, because he doesn't practice game movements. So I think exceptional ball skills need to be in-game movement. So any drill that people do what you're gonna do in a game. Because anybody can just go boom, 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 and look really good. 2 balls can be pop, 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 pop. You can do all that, look really good. But then in a game, what are you doing? Are you creating space? So your ball handling skills need to be able to create space with that. Anybody can just protect the ball. You could have every point guard that you could just come here and run a play. But now it's time to make a play. What does his exceptional ball handling skills look like? It's got to be transitioned to his body language, and then he can create ball handling skills, and that's why you need to be exceptional. That's how you can be exceptional at that point.
And so, okay, so that brings us to our next topic, because now we're talking about the exceptional ball handling skills, and once again, as a 2 guard, because let's say late in the shot clock or whatever it may be, and 9 times out of 10, when we say that 2 guard, I guess the type of train of thought you develop is that the Jordans of the world, and those type of, so you know, as a 2 guard, break down that defense, they're looking to you to make something happen.
Yes.
So what do you speak on that one?
It's true. It's like they always want you to make the right play. You know, you become the point guard at that time. When you're a 2 guard, it's in a scoring mode, and you always the guy that can put up points. You're also looking at the guy they're going to blame you if you don't make the right play. You know, if I go to the hole and I see a big guy, I got to dump it off. You know, if you're fortunate enough that nobody's double teaming you, like, luckily I was fortunate, I was fast and I was athletic, so 99% of the time, no one could stop me one-on-one. You might get a good guy that can get in front of you every now and then, but most guys wouldn't keep up with both. You could shoot and all that. But I had to make the right play. Coaches used to tell me they trust me at the end of the game to make the right play. Wasn't to go score all the time. It was like, you're going to make the right play. So I had to break people down based upon who I was guarding. Bruce Bowen, you got to jab step him, shot. Because he's going to be up under you if not. And if he gets under you, got to rip through and get him on your hip, spin move and keep him on your other hip. Now you got plays, you've created space. So my job is to recognize who's guarding me. And then I can make a play based upon that.
Okay. And so within the body of that notion, we go to the next topic, which is get to that free throw line.
Yes,
because
sir.
the thing is, you broke down the defense. 9 times out of 10, like you already talked earlier about attacking guys earlier and getting to the foul line because you're trying to dunk on them.
Yeah.
Okay. But now we bring it toward the notion where you broke down the defense, and now that 2 guard, you're trying to get to that free throw line.
Shot fake. Shot fake. You want to get to the free throw line? Shot fake somebody. Show the ball here, and everybody jumps. If you show it here, you're just saying, what's up? If you just shot fake here, that's not a shot fake. But I shot fake here, so if you see the ball come above my head, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going. You're off your toes, you're off balance, I go right around, you hit your shoulder and one. Now I got a foul.
At least you're going to lift up.
At least you're going to lift out of your stance.
You're going to lift up a little bit.
Once you lift out of your stance, I do this, and I see whichever way. If you lean this way or that way, I attack it.
Question, did you see the shot fake that Carmelo Anthony gave Zion Williams?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. See,
That is a shot fake.
That is a shot fake.
And it's a real shot
Yeah,
fake.
but they believe the fact they know him in the mid-range game, he's a killer.
Yeah,
but at the
jab
same
step.
time, they know his footwork, and they know his ability to knock down that shot. So when he gives them that shot fake, they're going to raise up a little bit, if not all the way out.
He's had 0 crossovers in his lifetime. It's jab steps to shot fakes. Carmelo, he's jab stepped his way into the Hall of Fame.
All right. So the next one we're going to go to, and I think this topic right here has been lost. Being able to score at all 3 levels.
Yeah.
Okay, now it appears nowadays that it's more or less 3-point line to the basket.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is no the mid-range area to the block. Like you guys, when you played, I mean, it kind of mimicked, once again, Jordan. From Jordan to Kobe, Tracy McGrady, you, Vince Carter. Pretty much you guys were 3-level guys. 3-point line, could get to the mid-range, do your business, get to that block, I could post you up and make moves, but also finish at the rim.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Without
saying?
begging for a call.
You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't just 3-point line straight to the basket.
Nah.
It was all that in between as well.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think you gave yourself more opportunities to score. You know, like I could score 5 points in a quarter like it wasn't nothing because I had different variations. Mike Bibby guarded me, I'm going to the post. Kobe guards, I'm taking him out top of the key. I get more space. You take a guy who's a little stronger than me, I'm gonna take him off screens. Now he got to chase me. So I'm figuring out how to take advantage of whoever's guarding me. But I had all three because I practiced all three. So I would warm up every warm up I get, and when I grow up, when I was playing, I would warm up in the basket, warm up 15 footers. On the block, just turn around, face, and I'm not running anything. Come up, pull up, jump shots. Then I would scoot out. Then I would work on my hands. So now I eased out. But I've mastered every level.
But the one you touched on also that was really kind of left out also is running off screens.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, trained to play that position, the two-guard position. I mean, you guys could do everything.
We have to. No one else on the court does.
Even when I was in college and played overseas, you were trained to do everything.
Yes.
Three-point line, mid-range, post up, run off screens, all that. But even with your notion of the ISO, but the ISO was just something that was at the end of at the end of order.
You had to just go make a play at that point.
Yeah, you just had to make a play at that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, you guys did everything.
Yeah.
And that's what made you a true threat at the position.
We practiced everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, well, I think we just practiced the whole thing because in the 90s and era and all those things, we all knew that everyone had the similar part of game. Very few people could go, like a Rip Hamilton couldn't dunk all the time. Reggie Miller couldn't dunk all the time. So we would crowd him. I played Reggie Miller in the playoffs my rookie year. I made him go left most of the time. He had like his lowest playoff career at that game. And I was just sending him left because he wanted to dump into you and shoot. He used to going right, jump into you and getting a shot off. So I recognized that and I changed up. But I recognized his style. But most two guards, you were having to play off every position, so I knew how to do it. Like I would come off a screen, the pick and roll, a down screen,
The
staggers. You had everything.
Screens.
Then a catch and post. So you opened up, you jab step, they catch you in the mid range. I got them elbows jumpers. Like there was things that we did every single time, and it helped us score. And you know what that made the defense do? Be hard to double team us. Now it's easy to double team a dude. If you watch him, whoever's bringing the ball up is gonna shoot.
Yeah,
double team him.
ISO, pick and roll, trap it.
You never knew when to trap us. You never like when Vince Carter started getting lazy and told Vince just go score. They double team Vince every time and they lost. Vince said I had to figure it out, and the team had to figure it out. Stop doing it. That's when Michael Jordan started playing well. When they went to the triangle. At first he was getting 30, but it was hard. When they went to triangle, now everyone else was eating off of him. Now they couldn't just load up on him. But because Jordan had every level of the game, they didn't know where to catch him at. They didn't know where to stop him at. He go to the post, elbow, wing, top of the key, come off a screen. Like he had so much, and I think being a scoring threat at all three levels, it just makes your game better. They can't stop you now.
No.
Now you can't be frustrated like, Coach, they double teaming. Well, go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Because you've mastered somewhere else too.
You score at the elbow, you can score a three-point line, wing, top of the key, corner, short corner. You can score anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to translate over to the defense side of the ball. Okay. And of course you've dealt with some top of the line offensive weapons. You've dealt with the Kobe's of the world, the Jordans of the world. So you know when you had to translate to the defensive side of the ball, what is it that two guard had to be able to do?
He had to be smart and he had to study. And what I mean by being smart and study, my first games, my first 5 players I had to guard, Clyde Drexler at the 2 guard, Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Ray Allen. That's the 5 first dudes that I had to guard when I walked into the NBA. And I was guarding all of them. And I'm just like looking for help, and they're like, nah, you got him. You can play good. Really? And I played hard and good, but I wasn't smart yet. I didn't know Reggie was diving into me. I didn't know Clyde was just going to drive right to get me in the foul. He wasn't even looking to shoot unless he was wide open. And I'm over here playing him all aggressive like I got you, I'm being a macho man instead of being smart. So when you play defense, you got to be smart. You got to know how to guard certain people. Because every night created a different challenge. And Allen Iverson got moved to the 2, and he came in and shot the first 6 shots on our guard. I'm like, this dude ain't going to pass? I was like, man, he's a greater rate. I get a long night. So I recognize I got to be smart. AI wants to pull. I'm going to make him go left and shoot it. I'm going to make him go right and shoot his fadeaway, not his snatch. So I'm staying on his hip more. He's going to get 20 layups. He don't want 20 layups. He'd be exhausted after 20 layups. He's want his mid-range. He wasn't a 3-point shooter. He wants to get his crossover and get going. I'm not letting you rev up with your crossover. You're going to go. So you got to be smart and you got to study players. And that's what I did as a 2 guard. I watched other guys. I didn't just look at the stats in the board saying, hey, force him this way. I watched how he got to that way. So when I watch film, okay, he's doing this. He's going to rock me to sleep. As soon as I see you rock, I'm on you. that kept me from getting in foul trouble. That kept me from looking like this dude is torturing me tonight. So I got up on people. Like the only people gave me problems were people who posted up early in my career. Mitch Richmond, Michael Jordan. Everyone else who didn't post up, I was okay because I wasn't physically strong enough at the time.
Yeah.
But who posted me up gave me problems. J.R. Riders, they was physically stronger. But after that year or two, when I started getting stronger, it was like nobody could really post. I angled myself and I got better. But if you don't know how to guard, stop people, they'll torture you all night long.
Yeah. All right, so this brings us to this next one, which at the very beginning you said your teammate said to you, you got him. But coming to this next one, if you notice, real good defenders at the same time, really, really good defenders also know how to utilize a team. If you got a real good team defense, but the person that knows how to really guard also knows how to use a team defense. Like, prime example, if Jordan is guarding you, and he's guarding you, taking away your right, forcing you to your left, and guess what? Scottie Pippen's sitting right here on his wing. So he already know, okay, you may blow by me, but you're going to run right to him.
Yes.
And Scotty's sitting there looking like, yeah.
Come on.
Come this way. So the thing is, so your teammate's sitting there saying, oh, you got him. Yeah. No, it shouldn't be you got him. Don't worry, we got your help.
Yes.
That's what the term should have been. Let's speak about team defense from a two-guard position.
Well, you just said it. Like, if you don't communicate, you're basically getting torched. Because it's hard to guard. And like I said, most people can't guard anybody one-on-one. Yeah. The rules are different now. But when we played, like, you could guard a little better, but you taking a risk of being in foul trouble. So they would let you chuck him, and then sometimes they would call it. So it was different. It was different calls. But as a great team defender, like, I was always a great help defender from start to finish because I watched the game. So I'm reading here. I'm like, okay, I see it. I see this way. I'm looking to anticipate steals. So I'm in aggressive mode, but in controlled. So I'm not running through, just running out to play. I'm running to shoot. If I ain't got it, I can stay back here and rotate and get the other guy's man. Like a Scottie Pippen, rotate and got him. Now I take Scotty's man. And that's what I learned to do. And that's when I started saying, yeah, sending him left. Like I told you, at the playoffs, I was different at the playoffs because I went through the whole rookie year. Yeah. I said, I'm going to send him left, y'all. Sean Kemp said, I'll be at the elbow. You know what I'm saying? So knowing Sean Kemp is at that elbow, I was okay to send him left. Yeah. And when he came off him screens and I'm staying on his hip, he tries to rip back through. No. You cannot rip back through against the grain to go to your right hand, which you want to do all night. Nope, I'm sitting on your hip. Send him to where he's uncomfortable. So it took team defense, but I understood it, and what I did was transition into telling my teammates that as well.
But also at the end of the day, as a smart and intelligent defender, you knew where your help was. You
Yes.
knew. Like Sean Kemp said, I'm at the elbow. I'm gonna send him towards Sean. But at the same time, even though I'm guarding you, you're right-handed. I'm gonna force you to your left.
Weaker hand.
You see what I'm saying?
Unless you are more comfortable. Though.
That's like I was watching an All-Star game and Kobe Bryant was, I forgot who Kobe Bryant was guarding, but he had Tim Duncan. So he said to him, guess what? I'm going to send you to Tim.
Yes.
I'm sending you
Go
right to Tim.
back there.
You might blow, I'm sending you right to Tim now, so don't worry. But at the end of the day, he knows how to use his team.
Absolutely. That was a great quote by a lot of players who had great big men.
All right, now we want to get into the concept of talking about the mentality of a shooting guard. Now, I know each position probably has its own approach to a mentality in a way, and it kind of does. A point guard has to be a little different than the two than the three, 4 than 5. They're all different.
Right.
Okay. So being that you've been around certain type of individuals, I'm pretty sure you got a certain type of outlook on the mentality of a two guard. So what is your thought process? And let's talk about the first one, that of being aggressive. What is your thought process on that?
Well, I think aggression has always got to be controlled. Even if you're a forward, man, like power forwards will go lift weights, but they come in and try to rebound the ball tough. But you got to be in control so you don't foul out and this and that. So for me, aggression for me was always being, making myself a part of the game. Don't sit back and wait. I was always trying to be like, how can I impact the game some kind of way? If I wasn't scoring, shooting, certain things wasn't going, what am I doing on both sides of the basketball? So I was always in a mindset of controlled aggression. People would foul me and push me, and I'd laugh it off. I wasn't getting all tempered and mad. I was just learning to be aggressive, but also be in control of it. And it took a little time from middle school, then to high school. People would be double teaming me, fouling me, grabbing me, and I'd be like, oh, we good. I'm going to go keep coming. I'm coming. Like that was my mind. I'm coming. So I kept talking to myself, I'm coming. So I never stopped going hard. So aggression is basically a mental part that you got to adapt in your own self. Because anybody can be like, well, I'm going to be tough and foul. Now you're on the bench. That ain't aggressive. That's silly. So for me, as being aggressive, I had to come in the game and how can I impact from some standpoint of what I've been working on, the defense, offense, whatever. I had to be in an aggressive mode at all times.
Okay. So then that brings me to my next subject, which is, okay, we're going to aggressive to focused. Okay, what do you think of that one?
Habits. This is basically you got to figure out some kind of habit. People's like, well, man, he's talking this and that. Like, you got to focus on what you're trying to get done. When you play basketball, what is the ultimate goal? Is to win, right? Regardless of whatever. But it's also to get better. So mine was like, How can I get better? How can I actually help my team? And that was always my mindset. So I never deviated from that. A lot of times if you go into it unfocused, you'd be like, man, I'm a little nervous. I said, you're worrying about the wrong thing. You got to worry about how to play and keep playing hard. You know what I'm saying? Like you do those things, your mind stays focused so the game doesn't change. I don't care if we're playing in the championship game in Kentucky or I'm playing in a pickup game. Like you played against me, it's like I was always focused on what is making us win. I don't want to sit down on the bench. I want to keep playing and pass, cut. Well, hey, they double teaming me. You got to come here. I'm coaching in a pickup game because I was focused on what? Trying to win.
But even at that, the thing is like when I was playing here at Spalding and you're in the NBA and playing in your summer league, and I remember playing against you, and the nature of what I was picking up on is how smart you played the game.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because 9 times, I mean, at the end of the day, you're on a consistent basis of playing against the best players in the world. Right. So your motor is at a certain pace and it's just certain level.
Yeah.
So when I was guarding you, I would pick up on how easy you made a cut, how easy you made a turn, how easy you just made, okay, back door, his head turn, his eyes ain't on me, back door, lay it up. So for me, I was like, okay, I need to make the game that easy. So you see, so it wasn't about how hard I was working.
Right.
It was about, okay, I need to get it smoother, easier, just a tempo to the game that you can't control me.
Yes.
So and that was one of the things I picked up on playing against you in your summer league. And once again, it was your summer league. I know you had I know you had the refs. I know you had the refs and all that. So
Right.
So the next one we want to talk about, okay, we're going from focused to determined. What do you think about that one?
Determined is always it's always a personal goal. Some guys are cool with averaging 5 points. Some guys are cool with losing but getting like a triple-double. Some guys are cool with just, hey, I got a dunk and I'm happy. My determination was, like I said, to be an impact where you recognize I was on the court. Every time I played, I want you to remember me. From the time I was in middle school, it's like, you're going to remember this dude. He's guarding you hard. He's taking charges. He's doing everything he possibly can to play extremely hard. But I was determined to make an impact in the game. So you're going to remember me because I'm doing something in this game. So I was just determined to be better every single time I played. Like when I played in 6th grade, I barely got in. 7th grade, I was starting. 8th grade, I dominated. 9th grade, barely got in, started. Then all of a sudden my career took off. I kept motivating. Freshman year in college, took a little minute to get in, started, finished out. Rookie year in the NBA, it never changes. You have to be determined to be your best. And that was just what I wanted. I wanted to be the best version of Derrick Henry. I wasn't saying I want to be Michael Jordan. I wanted to be better than him. So I studied them dudes and say, I want to be better than this dude. Didn't happen, but I got close.
Now, I mean, we'll find ourselves getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to bring up the notion of how you find yourself having to start back over on each level, how you had to go back up the totem pole. But the funny thing is, when you look at these kids, you see how much these kids are transferring. They don't get that notion. So you know, as coming in as a freshman, okay, on a high school level, it's a whole nother level. I got to work my way up. Now, college, freshman, whole nother level. I got to work my way back up. NBA, rookie, I got to work. But the thing is, it wasn't like, okay, well, they ain't giving me the ball, or it ain't my shine as I'm coming into the freshman.
So I'm going to leave.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave.
Quit, yeah.
So it's just that notion of just the mentality, determination that you had, that you talk about. Okay, so the next one we want to talk about is have a strong outlook on the game. What are your thoughts on that?
You got to love the game. You can't love the success of the game. People are loving the fame of it, and they're not loving the game. That's why it's become almost a showcase now. You see so many guys just shooting a shot, not even how you shoot the ball and just turn your head, not even see if it goes in. It became a showcase to people. And I think for me was I had a strong look on the game because I loved it. Like I actually love playing basketball. Like I love it. So therefore, the love of the game taught me how to value it. I didn't depreciate it. I appreciated it. I don't want to transfer to school because it wasn't going right. I ain't switching 30 different AAU teams because we ain't winning. I ain't shining. Like no, I want to get better. And I think the love of the game kept me in tune with that. I never lost focus because I love the game. If you love something, man, you're gonna stay involved. Your favorite pair of shoes, you love them. You don't want to sell them. You know what I'm saying?
You got to clean them as much as possible.
Yeah, you're going to keep them as long as you can. It's like, man, these things just ain't working. They got to quit on you before you quit on them.
You already know. So, you know, but once again, those are the subjects we wanted to touch on. And so we'll talk about some more and some other things as we move forward.
Sounds good.
So now what we're going to talk about is what moves should a shooting guard have, which I'm pretty sure, I know you know, the different variations of moves that a player should have. And so let's try and touch on some of those topics, and you can just bring up whatever you want. Okay, but at the same time, now let's talk about the jab series. How important is that jab series to a two-guard?
It's very important, but for me, it's like when I first catch the ball, it's ball placement. I think a lot of people forget that. Like when I catch the ball, I find the seams and I put it in my pocket so I'm always ready to go with my jab. If I catch it with two hands, I can't jab right. I'm just catching it here while I'm here. I can't jab, so I catch it in triple threat mode every single time, so my eyes are up. I might just jab you quick and just to see if you move. If you jerk, I'm in shot position or shot fake because I've made your feet move. It wasn't a big move. You didn't jump back. You just kind of moved out of your stance. If you get a defender out of his stance, now you can pretty much get what you want. And I think my jab theory is always called when I caught the ball, how can I see if I can get this guy off me? Protect the ball over the top. You got 1,000 variations. So the jab step series comes in with ball placement. Now I can just jerk. And then if I lean long, now I get to see if he's biting or he's being aggressive. You know, like the Patrick Beverleys want to get up underneath you. Now you can turn with your hip and you can jerk and he'll give space. You know what I mean? But your jab series is a different set. There's short jabs, long jabs, quick jabs, just a slow walker jab. Like there's variation of jab series. You got to know to have ball placement and then also have the guy who's guarding you knowing who's guarding you. I think that's what makes your jab series very efficient. But you need them just to create space. Because now if you got 5 seconds in high school or whatever, when they got that rule, that 5 seconds, he scoots back, you got another 5 seconds. That jab, step, and move, now you don't have to immediately dribble. Now you only got one session. Five seconds with the ball, 5 seconds dribbling, then you got another 5 without. So you literally could make a dude work 13 seconds out of the shot clock just by yourself.
But the one thing you do know, between the jab and the shot fake, you're going to find out how easy your night's going to be. Because if you hit that guy with that jab and he bites, you already know I got him.
He's always out of the stance.
Yeah, I got him. So if I give him a shot fake and he raises up, I got him. So I know I can pick and choose when I want to take him. So, you know, using that jab quickly alerts you if this guy fears you, if it's going to be an easy night for you, you'll learn. If
it's a series of them, though. Yeah. Short, quick, slow, long, like all of them.
And if he ain't taking none of them, then you know you're going to be working
all night.
It's going to be a hard night.
Come off these screens.
Yeah, that's how I use the screens, god dang it. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is be able to operate with a live dribble or have an established dribble. So, you know, if you come down and you got the ball, like you said, you're already in triple threat, you have a live dribble.
Yeah.
And then there's other opportunities like when you're coming down with the dribble. So let's talk about where you have the live dribble, where you just catch it, and how to operate with knowing you got the live dribble.
Well, for my live dribble, when I'm catching it, I'm also seeing where the help is at. So like you said, he's trying to send me baseline. I want to help him. When I catch the dribble, I want to hit with this, so he tries to push me there. Now I can go against this grain without him being established. If I come down and try to guess and go right, he can take a charge, hit me in the middle, it's a guessing game. So my live dribble is always trying to see where the defense is at. So I keep my eyes open, seeing where your help is at. And I'm trying to manipulate him because he's trying to push me somewhere usually. And if he doesn't want to give up, now if he's playing straight ahead of me, he's pretty much toast. I got in and out crossovers, just drive-bys, he's pretty much done. But some guys got a hand in the balance, which you probably normally should. You don't want to let them go middle, you want to force in one direction. But if your feet are balanced, I'm looking here, so I'm coming down, I'm looking at your body, and I look at the defense. So if I hit you with something, I want to see what your feet are. If your feet are straight, you're done. Because all I got to do is give you one move, and your body goes there, then I go to secondary move, and you're done. But I think the live dribble is always created with you're watching the guy's body. If I'm coming down just jogging, I look at your body, and I look at the defense, now I see how you're staying. So you might switch your stance up. Now I got to switch my move up. So I'm watching the behind your shoulders and your shoulders. So if I see you straight like that, your feet are straight. But if you turn a little bit and I'm coming up here, I see your angle, I'm trying to hit that angle. Because you can't stop me both ways. You know, it's a guessing game if I just don't make a move. But I think having a live dribble, you always want to see what's behind the defender and then watch his shoulders, and you can usually get an advantage out of it.
Okay, let's touch on this topic, even though it's not a part of the equation, but let's talk about from the standpoint of, because you know as an offensive player, you know what you hate to see defensively.
Yeah.
You already know. So that's what makes you a better offensive player. So what makes you a better offensive player is I know what he hates to see defensively. So I'm going to bring that to him. Okay, so now as a defender, you want to sit there and say, okay, what does he hate seeing as an offensive player? Okay. So my quick question is, this is more on the defensive side, not on the offensive side. What if you're coming down the floor, what is it you would hate to see? If I'm coming down with a live dribble, what type of defender would I hate to see in front of me right now?
You would hate to see a guy who's ready to jump up on you. Because if you're coming, I just do this to you, you're going to be like, oh man. I want a defender who's laid back and just chilling, waiting on me to come. But if you coming down, you bring the ball up and he just runs at you, I'm like, oh man, he made me make a decision before I was ready to make a decision. So if you see them aggressive dudes, now it's a guessing game. If he just runs up on you, be like, oh man, I hope this dude don't. So when you see them little guards to be ready to get up under you, you're gonna hurry up and turn sideways. Now your momentum's gone and everything, and that's a smart defender. Those are the guys that I don't want to see. When them guys just run and jump up on you, like, oh my God, this dude's tripping. You know what I mean? You're just like, man, what this dude doing? He take my whole move But I think those are the things that I just hated to see. And those are smart defensive players.
Yeah, okay.
Keep me from gaining momentum.
So we're talking about, okay, that was coming down the floor. Now, if you catch the ball on the wing, now what type of defender would you hate to see when you caught that ball on the wing?
I didn't have that. Like I didn't fear anybody. Like if you got aggressive with me, that was helping me out because I could just create my speed. So you get the muscle dudes going, I got you, go ahead. And I'm just gonna move my one move and go this way. I'm too fast for you. And then the guys who scoot back, my follow through, my jumper, I'll get in a rhythm. You could literally be standing me right there and I could shoot and not even recognize you. You know, so I didn't have a preference. The people that I did dislike was the people when I wasn't having the ball and they would grab you. Like those are the people who were just scratching you. Like, come on, bro. Like you just like this is ridiculous.
Grabbing your shorts.
Yeah, just
pulling your
unnecessary
jerseys.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a smart play because he was frustrating me.
Yeah.
And I had to recognize that because I'm like, dude, I only had a ball. Like, what are you doing? And this came from childhood, but it taught me to get out of that. So when he get it, just smack his hand. And then when the ref is standing there, you be like, just my hands is up, and then take off running.
Yeah.
So I would play the game like I ain't doing it, just go. And that kept the defense like, man, that didn't work. So those are the people that irritated me, but I didn't have a real imbalance where a guy was physical with me or a guy didn't. Like it didn't matter because my mindset was to take advantage of the defense.
Because I think the thought process on putting that in is more or less the thought process on saying, okay, in order to get better, okay, you want to see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm on offense, okay, and if I know what it is that irritates me, not can stop me. It can't stop me, but it's just irritating as heck.
Yeah.
That would be like somebody poking at you, like,
Yeah.
you stop poking at me.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, if that's the case, that also helps you become a better defender.
Yes.
Because if I know, okay, you can't really stop me, but I am looking into a mirror. I'm looking into a mirror, so I'm seeing what he does to irritate me. Now I can take that to me defensively,
Yeah, that's a good
and switch it to the offensive side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Changing the pace of the game. Yeah, absolutely.
So now let's go to the mid-range. Okay, this is something that two guards should have in this game. Talk about that.
I think it's easy. Like I said, if you hit one mid-range, if you hit two mid-range in each quarter, just two of them, you've mastered those. That's 16-point average a game. It's the second pick in the NBA draft, averaged 14 points in college. He's going to be the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. They don't need you to score 30. You need to master something. So kids now are missing the mastering of a 15-footer because it's open. And it's an easier shot. I don't have to be super strong to shoot a 15-footer. Now, threes and I'm tired, my legs are dead, those shots are hard. But if I master the 15-footer, I've become a valuable asset. So if I come off a screen, I got it. If I dribble off a screen, I got it. If I catch and shoot, I got it. Like now I get more open 15-footers than I get open threes. You might get 4 or 5 open threes. You might get 10, 12 open 15-footers because of the course of the game. Guys are coming off of screens, you're dribbling, you got an open shot where the big don't want to help up. And this is at every level. High school, middle, every level, you got 15-footers that are wide open. If you just get used to mastering that, it's huge. That's the difference in the game. If you notice how many game-winning shots that are made, there's the mid-range and floaters and those things and layups, they're the ones that win games. You very seldom see three-pointers win games. You see a bunch of threes get missed. You know, you'll see a Dame Lillard make one, then you'll see somebody like other 4 teams miss all 3 of them, miss all 4 threes. But if you get in that mid-range game, those are game winners. Those are your bread and butter shots.
Okay, since you mentioned game winners, you mentioned what you just mentioned. I'll just ask this question. What is your thought process at the end, down 2? Now, let's take out the notion on the road or at home.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just take that out.
Okay.
You got the ball. Okay, you got 10 seconds. Down 2. What are you looking for?
I'm trying to get the easiest basket. I'm trying to drive. If it picks up, then I throw it to another guy who should be cutting for a layup. We're trying to tie this game. You say take it out of the home or away. I would take the tie before I take anything. But if it's a home and away, the reason we do that is because we normally know at the overtime, we normally don't have stuff in the tank. We normally don't have the referees on the side. We know guys might be in foul trouble. So that's why there's a notion where you're on the road, you got to try to win because you might not have enough for an overtime game, whatever it may reason be. But I think in my standpoint, if you're just playing straight up basketball, we're in a pickup or a park or just a regular game, I'm going for the tie. I'm not shooting no 3. That's the hardest shot I can shoot.
Well, because the reason why I say that is because you always were taught, you want to live to fight another day. So if I tie it, we live to fight in overtime. We're fighting in overtime. So regardless if I'm on the road or home, I want to win this game. And if winning the game takes me going into overtime, Then we
I'll
go
take
in
my
overtime.
chances.
We gotta take my chances. We're going in
Yeah,
overtime.
yeah.
Now the risk on shooting that three is a lot higher.
Yes.
You know, so I take more of the. We talk about efficiency.
Yeah, I would take it.
I'm going for the two.
I would too.
You know, that's just my
I
thought
would
process.
too.
Okay, now if the three's there, like you said, if you drove and the guy's open at the corner,
That's an open shot.
That's open shot.
Yeah.
Like you
But
got
I'm not dribbling the air out of the ball to shoot a three.
No, I'm not. No. That's what I'm not looking for.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, now let's talk about the ability to slash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which I knew you was really good at. Okay, you would get it, rip whichever direction you wanted to go, and you were very good at slashing and getting to that rim. So let's talk about that notion a little bit.
It's basically also reading the guys the area where to slash at. So if I see your heads turn and here's the thing, if you pass the ball, what does the defender do? He ball watches. So when I play the game, I watch and see who's the ball watchers. I'm watching the big, he's ball watching, he ain't guarding his man. I'm watching my guy just ball watching, so I stand still. As soon as you turn your head, I'm shooting behind you, so you don't even know I'm going till it's too late. So I see that the game is all about ball watching. So if you watch my highlights, my games, every game I got an open layup from somebody turning their head. And I did that because I didn't just watch the balls. Most guys on offense watch the ball. So my ability to slash was reading the defense. Had nothing to do with my talent. Like I said, I could be the slowest dude in the world. I could be standing here, but if you turn your head, I'll just creep right by you, get a layup, don't even say a word. Because you're ball watching, and coaches tell you see man and ball. Most people just see ball. They don't see the man anymore. They just do this, turn your head, and they look at you. As soon as you look back at the ball, I'm gone. Because I'll wait. I'll be playing a game like you with this. As soon as you turn your head, I'm gone, because I'll stand still just like this. And then you be like, yo, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. And as soon as you say that second time, I'm gone.
Okay, so what about the concept from, okay, if you're at the three-point line, the ball's been passed to you, and you're going to rip by him. What is the first, because the thing is, like I said, you were good at ripping by guys, straight line drive, getting to the basket. What will probably be, when you catch that ball, besides the guy who's on ball, what are you looking for to rip by him and get to that basket? What else you trying to look for?
I look at his body language, and if I catch it and I see you're standing on your toes, I'll jab you and make you slide, then I'll cut my left. But if I see you coming up when I catch the ball and you're out of your stance and you're just coming like with your arms like here, you have no balance. You know, if you come up to me with your hand here and your balance, now you can jump here and take a charge. But I catch your body, so when I catch my whole eyes looking at you at the same time I'm catching the ball, so I don't take my eyes off the ball, but I see your body language. And when I rip through, I'm ripping through with power. So if you try to take a charge, the only thing you can do is hit my shoulder. So I'm coming low and ripping through that way. Now you hit me, it don't bother me. You just hit me and I'm going. So I look at the body language of a defender, and that way I can rip through on them. And if I jab you hard here, now I can go that way because you anticipate me going rip through. So now my anticipation here, you go, and I just take right off that way. Now you're on my hip. Now when I go to dunk it, you're just literally watching at that point.
Well, see, like for a guy like you, going right or left is no problem.
No.
Okay, blowing by a guy for you, going right or left is no problem.
Right.
Question is, are you locating to help defense? Because that would probably be your Achilles heel as far as like who has a chance to stop you. Because you're gonna get by the guy who's on you.
Yeah.
Now I need to locate. Okay, is there a guy to the left of him? Because if there's a guy to the left of him and I got the angle on the right, I'm taking it right.
Well, here's the thing about that. It doesn't matter at times because you have a secondary move. So if I rip through baseline, I knew that 99 out of 10 times there was a big guy coming. I knew the spin move off of him because he's standing waiting on me. Your secondary move has to come into effect. A lot of people just throw stuff up or jump into him. I'm trying to get this shot off. If I can't two power foot and dunk over you and get an and one, I see that you outside the post. When I drive and I see you, I spin to get out another move. A lot of people don't have that. They'll just throw it up or shoot something or pick the ball up. Now they got to pivot and pass because they don't have a secondary move. I've always been taught to have a secondary move. My secondary move is when I drive either way, because I do look and see if the defense is a certain way. But sometimes you don't know because guys are running at you quick. So if I rip through and a guy comes at me quick, I'm like, oh, I got a spin move. So I didn't dribble with my head now. I ripped through with my eyes like this to see where I can go. And once I saw that guy coming, I knew my move, either to dunk over him or to spin move off away from him and create space and dump off or shoot a fadeaway. Secondary moves is how you always knew how to get that off.
Okay. Now, let's talk about another concept. Let's talk about working off screens, where we're talking about stagger screens or wide down screen or pick and roll.
Right.
Okay, what are your thought processes of having that ability for those things?
It keeps the defense from like just guard, like standing still and helping on the weak side. So if you can get them guys to just stay locked in on you, your other teammates can get games off too. That's the number one, because you want to get everybody messed up. So if I'm come off a screen, I'm holding my defense up. Now that other guy can slash as well. So I'm looking at that from the standpoint of how can I help my team. But me working off screens was always making sure that I had this guy on my hip. And so when I put him on my back, he can lock and trail. But if I put him on my hip, now guess what? Boom. That creates a gap. Now when I'm coming off the curl, that gap is all I need for a shot or a drive. But if you got him on your butt, that's why they say lock and trail, it's hard to hit him because you be sticking out and you don't have no power. But if I hit you with my hip, I got to keep guys on my hip. Not to extend my arm, is to hit you with my hip. That's why you see guys here, they hit you with the hip and create that little space that you need to create off a screen. Not to push, not to getting all physical and trying to fit, because guys are strong. But if you can use your hip, now a stagger screen and all that, that's beautiful to use. Now I see you trailing me, you slip the gap, you shoot the gap, I can fade. You trail and lock and trail, now it's time to shoot. Nobody's coming off a trail and blocking a shot unless you shoot the ball back here. But if you're shooting here, he's just gonna be coming and watching you. So that's an open shot. And then a pick and roll for me is I want to put my hip into the guy again. So my hip's into you, because if I stand here now, you're pushing and fighting through. But if I push my hip and scoot you back, I'm pushing you into the screen. That little hip is what gets me that space to get you into the screen. I have to make you hit that screen. If not, you're fighting over. Now I have no advantage. Now it's just bad pick and roll. But I want to hit you with my hip and keep you going. So if I see you, all of a sudden I got that space between me, now I can attack the big, and now the guard, they have to switch. Because my big got you held, the guard hemmed up, and he rolls, they got to make a decision. Double me, both go with the big, take a jumper shot, let the big hit the glass. Very simple, but you got to put people on your hip. So that's, for me, is how I work off screens, is to keep my hip on people and push them into screens and create space. Just that much space is all you need. This ain't space. When a guy's locking and trailing you, he's just coming. But if you create that space, now that's a difference in a wide open shot, a good shot and a challenge shot.
There you go. All right, now, another thing we talked about, and I know you can do these things, is operate on that block, okay? Having a fade, semi-fade away, maybe a jump hook, okay? You know, those type of moves, dribble one way, spin back, fade away. Dribble one way, spin back, hook.
That's it.
You know, those type of moves, you know, what were your thought processes on operating on that block?
First thing in a block, you got to be patient. No one's patient anymore. Like if you caught the ball in a block, you just hear guys are just not looking. You got to look. If you pass fake out of the post, you know what that big guy's gonna do? Or guard you. He's gonna put his hand up. You could turn away from him and shoot a shot. Look at his body. If he does this in his hand, I ain't never seen nobody block a shot from here to there. He's got to come across his body. But if you're pacing and you can pass fake, people don't utilize those certain things. Now you're creating space again. Where's that on your hip? So if I caught the ball in the post and he's behind me, I want to turn and create that hip space. So my post moves was all about the same thing. Jordan worked me every day in our workouts, and it was more or less like create space with your hip. He said, I'm trying to get you back like this. So when you see guy do this and he do this, he's trying to create space. So when he leans, he's trying to see if you lean into him so he can use you. And if you don't lean in, oh, I got all the space in the world to shoot now. Look at when he leans, you can watch the gap between the player. And he leans and he creates space. So now when he shoots, that little space that you gave him, he's shooting, and all you can do is just come late. That's all it is. He's already saw the rim. He always got a shot in for him. So I think patient on a block is that, but also, again, creating space. You can't just stand up and just bang and bang and bang and get the best shot. 7-footers could do it because they were 7 feet. But if you got the same size guys, like 6'8", 6'9", you got to create space with your body some kind of way. And the footwork, it starts with you being patient, then your footwork, the ball placement, pass fakes, manipulating the defense, getting everybody out of your lap, but then seeing the game, and then also the footwork. You have to have footwork in the post, because all it is you turn it left or right. Because if you dribble down this way, you're not going to dribble here and shoot it this way. Even if you run into a hook, you got to get your left foot or your right hand or whatever it is. You got to get established in position with your footwork. So patience, creating space, and footwork is huge on the post because you're so close to the rim. All you got to do is create a little more space.
And I think one of the things that, you know, especially nowadays, the way the game is played, and I think people are trying to put kind of a knock on that block. Like they don't, like if I play down at the block, I'm not really that good or something. Like no, it's like if you were playing a video game, like if you were playing Super Mario Brothers, are you gonna run past that ring to get the points, or are you gonna be adding up all these rings
going up there?
So I can get more points, and then I can get this extra tool or something. Yeah. So this is just another tool you throw in the box, and you learn it, you master it. So now you add it to all the rest of your game. So now your game is unstoppable.
Yep, 5 points a quarter. 2 buckets on the post each quarter is what? It's 8 points a game. Just 2. If you just get 2 buckets, that's 16. That's 4 points per time you're in the box. Go here twice a quarter. The next time you go here a couple times. And it's a short shot. LeBron just put that in his game more because he realized, man, this is an easier shot. I ain't got to dribble. I ain't got to do all this work. I ain't got to drive with my head down. Now I can catch this thing on the post and shoot it. He should be shooting at least 10 of those a game. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. They're not gonna block it. Yeah. So it's just, I think it needs to be utilized more. It's closer. It's in the course of a game. you don't have your heavy legs at the end anyway.
All right, so now what I want to do is I want to talk about, okay, how a shooting guard should operate in an offense. Now, we're going to do it from two variations. We're going to talk about it from a college standpoint, okay, and we're going to talk about it from an NBA standpoint. So let's talk about it from a college standpoint. We're running a 4-out, 1-in, okay? We got the 4-man setting a wide down screen on this 2 right here. So what is he looking for right now?
Well, for me, I'm looking, if I came here, I'm trying to get this guy back. So I'm trying to fake this way, and when I go, I'm trying to create space. So I'm just taking him in. So if I can take him in, now his angle screen comes closer, because in college they sag. So I don't have a lot of time. So if I get him going, now he fakes. When I come off, I can read a shot, and if the big steps up, he can read a slip. Because if you don't, you're basically just so tight together. And then this guy's definitely going to be helping. So if you come in here, now if I turn the corner right now, if I came and he trailed me, and I'm turning this corner this way, now the 4 is going to be probably here. But if I turn the corner and the guy comes here, now my 5 gets an easy layup, because 3 can't rotate down. You ever seen a coach be like, rotate back? You can't, because I've put the pressure on here. So now when I'm coming, I can finish here, or this guy, because if he comes late, that's a dunk. But if I come and the guy comes over here and sags, like the defender comes here, now my 5-man's here for a drop-off, that's a dunk. But I'm creating a space. I got to get him going, because if not, he'll lock and trail me, and they'll kind of close it up. And the 4 can't get alive because it's so tight. So I got to fake, because if nothing else, the point guard brings the ball over towards me. Now I can fake here and go back and look where the 5 is. He's too late for a lob. So my college thing, you got to realize it's packed in. So I got to create space for either me, my 4-man, or my 5-man to score. It's got to be at the goal. The jump shot is usually not open unless this guy's playing lazy defense.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's talk about it from the NBA perspective. So we'll just talk about the difference. Run the same action. Okay. But obviously there's going to be a different way about it, because once again of the nature of the game you're playing. Okay. So now what are we doing?
So now
This is NBA.
NBA, because when he brings it, I can come off, because they're not helping it. They're not going to help as much, because they can't give up a layup. And in this generation, they are giving layups. So what I would do sometimes, I would even mix it up. I would come and set a back screen on this guy just to mess him up. Like I would come sometimes and just set a back screen here, and now the 4 would pop up, and my guard has to help for a layup. I pop right up for a 15 wide open shot. You mix it up, because this is the standard thing. This is the Allen Houston used to do, the trail spree, where they used to come off these down screens and destroy people, because you couldn't leave the 4-man. 4-man, Sean Kemp's, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, those are dunks. So you couldn't help as much. So if this is the NBA, depending on the era, in my era, I'm setting him up, coming out for a 15 footer. This era, I'm going for a lob, because ain't nobody going to be back there. I get layups all day long.
So your era,
my era.
Wait, are we gonna break this down to two different situations?
My era. I'm setting him up, hitting him with my hip, and then I'm coming right over a 15-footer.
Okay.
And if not, I got a 15-footer.
Who would your 4-man be? Who your 4-mans?
Rasheed Wallace, Tim Duncan. Sean Kemp.
Kevin Garnett, you said Kevin Garnett?
Well, I didn't play with him.
I know, but I'm just saying these type of guys. These are the type of guys. These are the type of guys you deal with.
And these dudes can pick and pop or go for dunks. So I'm coming off this screen. I'm using this screen, because it's going to be a good screen by somebody good. Tim Duncan set a screen, you ain't leaving Tim.
Chris Webber,
like you ain't leaving no 4-men. This generation is usually 3s. They're just going to switch. It's like a 3-man or 4-man. It's like it's usually like, unless it's a 5-man, it's a big. If it's a 5-man, it's a big slower guy. I'm going to read and see who my big is, because my big could be like a Batum for the Clippers. He's going to pick and pop, so I'm going to curl, try to get his man, let him pick and pop. And if they switch, throw me the ball, everybody get out, I got a one-on-one. And I think that's the difference. I'm trying to, more or less in this generation, is to create an open jump shot, because we got all bigs that are shooting jumpers. If it's a big guy on my era, I'm coming off, and I'm going to make this dude either he going to have to help on here, or me, or my guys are going to get a dunk, or I'm going to get a shot, because my guy's setting a solid screen, and you don't want to leave this 4-man. So it's up to this guy. Like, again, I could come and set a back screen here. He's got to help. This 4-man right here, he's got to help and say, oh, I got to take this away, lob. Now I've come back. Like, they can't just give up lobs, so you got to figure out what the technique is. But I think it's just different generations. But you're not leaving Rasheed Wallace and Tim Duncan and all them. If I come off a down screen, you're going to follow me, and the big is going to have to trail me and hope that me and Tim don't make a good pass, because I'm putting the pressure on the 4. When I turn that corner, I'm like coming. And if you see me coming here, you got Tim coming, well, the guards are behind me or on Tim's hip, you got to make a decision. I jump in the air and smooth across and let here, and Tim dunks on me. You know, I think that's the pressure we put on people going to the basket. That gets them in foul trouble. That gets us an easier basket. Now, if you just pick and pop, you got to, 50 cents make it a free throw. I mean, a three-pointer.
Yeah.
But for me, is if I came off that thing, I'm trying to put pressure on them guys and making my big. If my big pop and I don't get it, I can live with Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace shooting 50% from the elbow. I'm cool with that.
But the one thing we broke down was the errors.
The errors.
Yeah,
for me, I'm averaging 30 now, boy. It's like, ain't nobody back there. All the guys are out here.
I know, right?
You got the 5 man all the way up here. It's like a gold mine in there. I'm like, yo, ain't nobody back
But
there.
here's the funny thing is, and then they want to talk about Jordan. How much do you think Jordan will be averaging?
Ain't nobody back there.
But here's the funny thing. I understand this, in a way, when he played against the Phoenix Suns in '93, at times they would put Richard Dumas, Charles Barkley at the 4 and the 5. Jordan averaged 45.
In the whole series.
You see what I'm saying? So imagine what he would be doing right now with these guys.
Nobody back there.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's going to be at the basket.
I would be averaging 30. Ain't nobody back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different, yeah.
But that's good
Different.
stuff. That's good stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So now what I want to do with you now is I want to talk with you about the different evolutions of the game. I want to talk about the late 90s, early 2000s, and how the game has evolved and how you perceive the game to be played now to when you played. And not saying that it's that big wide of a gap as far as age, but how do you feel about how the game is played? Let's talk about the late 90s, how you viewed the game then.
I came in at 97, and it was kind of transition from the 90s, the early 90s, to was more like, it was just so many athletes at the time. And I think for us, it's like seeing so many guys, like you look at the 2-guard position, and it was top to bottom the same players. Like they all could dunk, they all played defense, they all could shoot, they all played aggressively.
They all played from all 3 levels.
Yes, they played from different levels. So it's like you didn't get like just a jump shooter most times. Like Reggie Miller was coming off screens and he was catching and ripping through. So he had a mix of his, but most of the guys in the 2-guard era, when you look at it, we were all aggressively playing. So
So go ahead and name a few. Just name a few in 97 when you're coming in. Who are your 2 guards?
You had Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, Eddie Jones, Vince Carter. I mean, not Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. You had J.R. Ryder, Mitch Richmond. Like those are all like it's a lit like you had so many of them guys like Kerry Kittles. Man, it was so many guys, and you just had them on every team. So if it was like 28 teams, you had like 30 teams. Well, I don't think it was 30 then, but you had so many players at that position. Then you go to the bench, and you're looking at like a Kobe was coming off the bench for Eddie Jones at the time.
Yeah, and Eddie Jones.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so Eddie Jones was an all-star.
He was an all-star.
Continuous. So it wasn't like he was a weak dude, but Kobe turned into Kobe. And it's like, it was like guys on the bench coming in was really balling. So that 90s.
You forgot Latrell.
Latrell, Allen Houston, Grant Hill. But it was a bunch of 2-guards and 3s that would play back and forth. And it was just too many, it was so many players. Like you looked at the Glenn Robinsons the other day who had a 15-footer that would destroy people. You put him in the era of the gate. Tim Thomas was a monster.
Oh, Tim Thomas.
Like there was athletes at the 2 and the 3 position that it was hard to match and say, okay, this is going to be a win. Like now you can say, okay, Devin Booker's probably better than the other 2-guard on most teams. You can literally see that in most scenarios. And then you'll look at some players when we played, like there was never a drop off. It was just whoever had a better game, whoever had a supporting cast was winning.
And did you say Ray Allen?
Yeah, I said Ray Allen. Yeah. Those are the guys I guard. And remember, he moved Allen Iverson to the 2. Eric Snow was at the 1.
That's what I'm saying.
So your 2 guards.
That's how smart Larry Brown was.
Yes, he said I got to get him from not running my team, but to helping my team. And I think that's when they started. That's when they made it to the run to the championship.
Exactly.
So I think my era was just so many athletes that played all 3 levels. It wasn't like one was just a jump shooter. Like you can't name 5 2-guards now that are windmill dunking. And when we played, everybody could windmill dunk. And that's what I'm saying. It's like now guys is
just name 3.
Name 3 here?
No, I'm talking about name 3 that as far as like.
I could windmill dunk. I had 2 ACLs. I got video footage of me dunking.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
But if you had Eddie Jones could windmill, you had Desmond Mason, Jason Richardson, like them guys were windmill dunking in games. Like Kobe with 360. Like we were doing dunks in games. It was like worthy of dunk contest. And that's what I said, the transition of so many athletes, we were 3-dimensional. 3-pointers, 15-footers attacking the basket. Then we added a post from Jordan. So we recognized mismatches. Guards started getting in the post, and then the 2s and 3s was almost unguardable. So people tried to to double team, and that's when everybody went out to shooting 2 point guards. Remember, point guards didn't have to shoot that much. Stockton didn't shoot that much. Eric Snow didn't shoot that much, and that's when the transition came with shooting point guards. So in the 2000s, they said we need scorers as as point guards too, because all the other point guards just ran teams mostly, and they would hit open shots. You know, like a Kenny Smith and all them, they were hitting threes, but they had to be doubled and then passed out because they had to throw the balls to the big man. And then you started to look at the transition, and guys just started getting more point guards that were scorers. And that's when the late 2000, 2007, 2008 is when I was ready to retire. I was like, a lot of these point guards are shooting now. They didn't shoot that much, and that's when you started to recognize that Chris Pauls was getting more shots, and all those other guys was getting a lot of shots.
And I think the one point guard I think kind of started that trend a little bit was Damon Stoudemire.
Yeah.
Because once again, Toronto was a new organization.
They let him shoot.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby's came into their own.
They called him Mighty Mouse. He was getting triple doubles. Like I never, especially at his height, getting triple doubles at the point guard spot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing a lot of scoring, but he was doing a lot of variations for that team, a lot of things.
And you could see a transition, and then they went after like the Mike Bibby's who could score. And then they started going after other guys. Because Gary Payton and them, they weren't scoring that much.
No,
they were making plays.
They were making plays.
They would put the pressure on you. Yeah, they would hit open shots. Yep. Kevin Johnson's of the world. So when they started retiring, I started noticing point guards were shooting more. So the 2s and 3s were getting shots, but they weren't the dominant scorers anymore. And the 4 men was still there with Kevin Garnett's, Rasheed Wallace's, Tim Duncan's. Like we had 4 men that was ridiculous. Stromile Swift jump out of the gym. They don't like right now. Who jumps highest at a 4 position now? We don't know because they're shooting jump shots.
Yeah.
And that's why I say the transition now from a lot of athletes have gone away to more shooters. So it's almost becoming a different type of league because you saw it in 2008 when the Stromile Swifts and all them was supposed to shoot jumpers now. Because Paul Gasol's was shooting jumper. Like, you're 7 feet and you're shooting a jumper. Like, we're not used to that. Like, like we're used to like Patrick Ewing and them shooting like jumpers with the pick and roll, pick and pop. But usually they're trying to dunk. So we started to see it. And then in like the 2010s is when you recognize it was more of a shooting game. It was like whoever's making jump shots. Spontae Ellis was shooting a bunch of shots, and that's when him and Steph Curry started playing together. And that's when those 2 dudes started saying, oh, you can win like this. Mark Jackson put them in that position, and then you started to see the transition into what it is now.
Okay. Well, now, being that you brought up Patrick Ewing, okay, and I know people kind of talk in ways like Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Shaquille O'Neal in today's game wouldn't have a true effect or, have that same effect that they had during their time, but they have it now. To me, I feel that they would, because at the end of the day, you would probably have to adjust to them at the end of the day, regardless how you want to put it. So how do you feel about that?
Well, anybody who says that, I think they're looking at it from a standpoint, it's too fast, but people don't realize Shaquille O'Neal ran a break.
Yeah.
Hakeem Olajuwon would run a full speed break. David Robinson ran a break. They got him dunking where Jordan went for the ball and David Robinson dunked it. People don't study the game, so you don't really get into it with them. But if you watch the game back then, Ralph Sampson was 7'2" and ran a break.
Yeah. He ran like
so they were athletes.
Yeah, they were athletes.
But the problem was that back then the coaches were so stubborn that they just threw them on the post. The coaches didn't utilize their athleticism. And I think that's why people don't think they would make it. But those guys were super athletic. If they played now, all you got to do is throw them to the box because it's 4 out. Throw the ball into them, they just turn and dunk, turn and dunk, turn and dunk. You never have to miss. And they say, well, what would you do down the other area? Well, you can go zone now in the NBA. Had a big guy back there, just challenge the corner shot and let everybody else play. But you know you're going to score at the other end because you can't stop a big 7-footer. So I think like a Shaquille, he would do well. I think a lot of those guys would do well. But again, you don't know.
Okay, quick question. How do you see Grant Hill playing nowadays? Do you think he would alter his game to where he's got to shoot threes? Because when he played, he was more or less 15 feet on in. You couldn't stop him from getting to his mid-range shot, and you couldn't stop him from getting to the basket. And he really didn't utilize the three-point shot. So would you see him saying now, I got to shoot the three, or would you just see him still playing the same way he played?
He would just be DeMar DeRozan. That's all you'll be. DeMar DeRozan shoots, 15-footers? That's all he became all-star was, shooting 15-footers and driving to the basket. Grant Hill wouldn't have to change his game. He would literally be a one-on-one because he's still an ISO player.
Yeah, he's still ISO.
So he would in and out you and dunk. He would dunk over people because people were back there waiting on him. There's nobody back there now.
No.
You got 1 or 2 tall dudes back there really blocking shots. The rest of these guys are kind of like challenging them, taking charges. So he would be great in this area. He wouldn't have to change his game at all. The only guys that need to shoot threes is if you didn't have the athleticism to get to the basket, like a Rip Hamilton. Certain guys like that who weren't dunking. Reggie Miller, he wouldn't be going one-on-one. Like certain taller guys wouldn't do that, but like a Tim Thomas, a Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, they could shoot 15-footers and isolate you. It's what the game is. And they're raising up, and they're all like taller than me. They're raising up over you. It's a very different game now. And you can't touch them. Back then, we could at least put our hand on you and guard you and hold your hip a little bit, get you off balance. Now you can't even touch a guy.
So what do you think about the notion of I guess I want to say the mere fact that everybody is shooting the volume of threes that they're shooting.
Right.
Now, understand this: you could shoot, but the question at the rate and the high rate that they're shooting it, like it's almost like the rest of your game wouldn't even have been like it wouldn't even be in existence. I'm just gonna stay behind this 3-point line and shoot it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's hurt a lot of guys. Like you look at a kid, what's the kid, Andrew Wiggins. Mm-hmm. If he was in attack mode and dunking and posting and going and ripping through, the man would average 25 every year. Mm-hmm. He's like 6'7", athletic, rip throughs, but he's settling for jumpers. Mm-hmm. So you never see the other side of his game. Because he came into the game as what? An athlete. He changed into a jump shooter. And I think you do miss that from a lot of great players. And I think that's what's changed the game. Is a lot of guys are not maximizing their athleticism. And you looked at Zach LaVine. He was dunking the heck out of the ball. Then all of a sudden now he's a jump shooter. You know, and we all recognize him from being a dunker. And then now he's a shooter. Jason Richardson came in the league as a jumper, and then he developed his jump shot. Now he's both. You know, he was a complete player. So I think when you look back at everything, man, you have to realize that people are shortening their games and losing their game because of the style of the way the game is playing. Mm-hmm. And I think it hurts, like for us, the older guys, we recognize that this guy's really good, but he's hurting himself by only shooting jumpers. If I shot 10 jumpers, if Nick Van Exel shot 10 jumpers, threes in every game when he was in the NBA, he would have been an all-time three-point shooter. You can't shoot 10 threes a game. You got other dudes on your team. And I think that's the difference in the volume of shots. So it's changed the game. It should change the game in a different way to where now you get more rebounds, you should get more dunks. Mm-hmm. But now it's just you'll get a rebound and throw it for another three. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you just missed 3 threes and you had 3 layups you could have took. Mm-hmm. Now you 0 for points, but then you get 6 layups. Mm-hmm. They'll say, well, we'll make the other 2 and make up for the 6 layups, but you've missed money on the table. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the difference in this game is today.
Mm-hmm. And would you say more or less we're saying that the nature of the thought process now is almost like it's 3-point first?
Yes.
It's just to the point where, a 2-on-1 fast break. One guy's got it, you'll see the other guy veering for the 3-point line. They're not even going for the basket. They're not even challenging. 3-on-2. You're not seeing one guy veer off on the 3-point line. They're not even in attack mode for the rim. So my thought process, and I'm asking you is, do you think the nature of the way, and understand this, we love the 3-point shot. It's not the 3-point shot has a place in the game.
Right.
But is it the game? Does it seem like it's becoming the game?
I think it's become the game because I'm watching a 2-on-1 break and the guy guarding the ball doesn't even go to the line. He chases the guy off the 3, so he knew he wasn't going to the basket. Mm-hmm. That's the game of basketball now. Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, no, he'll do that. I said, very seldom do you see guys on a fast break go for a dunk. Mm-hmm. It's very seldom. Like, they just don't do it. And I think that's become because, like you said, the nature of the game is the 3-point line. It used to be the great equalizer. Mm-hmm. Now it's the forefront of the game. Who can make the most threes? Who can defend the threes better? Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And like not offense, hey, if we box out, we can win. Hey, if we stop somebody from scoring 50, we can win. Hey, do this. Now it's like we have to make more threes than you to win.
But we'll say this, okay, that is the thought process. But you'll say during the regular season, okay, so that seems to be the notion. But when you play in the playoffs, it appears that the nature of the game is completely different because the way the game is played in the playoffs. You're talking about 7-game series. You break a team down. You can really load up and figure out what their flaws are and attack their flaws. So certain things that you were doing in the regular season don't translate to the playoffs. No. So you will find yourself, okay, guys maybe shooting a whole bunch of threes, but the teams that do the fundamental things find themselves winning.
Because the Clippers did that. The Clippers stopped shooting threes when they played against Dallas, and what did they do? All 5 of them drove to the basket, and they won. They were down 0-2. They all started driving the basket. It's because the coach adjusted. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. What coaches can adjust? Mm-hmm. He adjusted. He said, we're going to drive this basketball. We're not settling for threes. We're going to drive the basketball, and they won the series. Mm-hmm. You look at these teams that are jacking a bunch of threes up as a unit, they're usually struggling.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you don't have an issue with it, but the thing is, would it be an eyebrow raiser, I'll say? When you sit up there and you see on a consistent basis, okay, you're looking and you're seeing the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. You got Brook Lopez. He's shooting a 3.
Yeah.
He ain't really going to the block. No. But you got Giannis handling the ball. And he's not really putting himself in a true scoring position on a consistent basis. So your 4 and your 5 are not really given they can't really impose their ability, their will with their height and size on the game because you got Lopez in the corner and you got Giannis handling the ball all the time.
Yeah.
So what is your thought process in that? And the thing is, would they be a better team if that was kind of adjusted a little bit better?
I think they would be a better team, and I think it would help Giannis because guess what? Now when they throw it in the post, when they throw in the post and he dives or cuts, it's 2 7-footers at the rim. Name another 2 7-footers that we have in the NBA that are like those two. Because all you got to do is throw it over the head, and if not, Giannis can dunk it. So you don't have that. So to me, I think you can get a better feel, because they shouldn't have lost to the Nets, the getting blown out the way they did, but because they were settling for a bunch of jumpers, they got blown out. And again, if you don't hit your threes, you can get beat. So I think they would be better if they impose their will and just throw Giannis in the post. I would put 4 guards out there with Giannis, if anything, make Giannis the 5. And now when he gets it, now who's gonna guard him in the middle of the lane? Yeah, nobody. Like, and if he gets the bigger guy coming in, now you can put him and go and attack the bigger guy who can't guard him one-on-one, and now it makes the game different. But I think a lot of coaches don't adjust well, and that's why they just play and hope the players make plays for them, which it works sometimes. But when you're trying to win a championship, you have to adjust what makes sense for you and your team.
Okay. And so when you watch a team like the Phoenix Suns, who kind of operate more like, I would say, a college team, I mean, with the way Chris Paul is orchestrating the offense, the way Monty Williams has them playing, and the way they commit to both ends of the floor, offensive and defensively, they're probably the only team that I see on a consistent basis who commits to both ends of the floor. The other teams find themselves taking off on one end, whether it's offense or defense. Okay. So what is your thought process on the way that the Phoenix Suns play?
I think they're playing in a good position, because I think Chris Paul doesn't come down and shoot 30-foot jumpers. He's not trying to shoot all the threes and trying to be this and that to be seen. He's trying to make an impact on the game. People might not like his attitude, his arrogance, whatever they call it, but I think he's controlled the game. He's coming down, making plays, getting Devin Booker to places where he needs to get it, and then getting other guys involved. And I think once he gets guys involved, that's when the teams start to believe in themselves. Because usually if a guard comes down and shoots all the ball, guess what? Everybody's just waiting. Nobody's in rhythm, nobody's catching the ball, nobody's touching it. And I think for me, seeing those guys play, Monty Williams got him playing at both ends too. He's not telling, hey, it's okay, Chris, to play golf, or Devin, you the best player, save your energy. They're all playing hard the whole game. If you look at their stats, they all have 3 to 4 fouls every game because they're playing hard. And I think you look at some superstars, they might have 1 foul the whole game because they saving themselves.
But like, we'll say Devin Booker is a superstar for the Phoenix Suns. But if you notice, there's a difference in the way you feel about his superstar, meaning like he doesn't just ultimately stand out statistically as far as shooting all the time. Like Luka has the ball all the time. He's shooting it all the time. He's doing every play. But the thing is, it's like, because of the way that the Phoenix Suns orchestrate and operate, through Chris Paul, you don't see the true focus on Devin Booker, but you know he's there. He's there. He's there. He's there. He's going to make his imprint, but you can't focus on him because the way the team operates.
They play as a team. When you play as a team, that makes your game easy. They was double teaming him in the beginning. Remember, the Lakers started double teaming him, and everybody else started cooking him because they believed in each other. And Devin believed in the passing the ball. And then when they started coming late on doubles, he started saying, you know what, I can still attack y'all because y'all not coming hard. And he still had 30-something a game. Because he's recognized that pass the ball, make plays for my teammates. And that's why I go to your thing, like a college team, you don't see college players shooting all the balls all the time. The last person I seen do that was Trae Young. And they lost. He had 20 and 10, but they kept losing. They kept losing. And coaches got to keep their jobs. So they ain't really worrying about him going to the NBA. It's like, man, he going to make me look bad. I'm going to be terrible. So most coaches don't allow guys like Cade Cunningham, the kid from Gonzaga. Like those players are in a system. So they're still getting their game off, but they're not shooting all the balls. And that's the say about Booker. He's still allowing his players to get in rhythm. Even when he's in attack mode, he's still willing to pass. And I think once they depend on each other, they can depend on each other. That's why they're like a college team, is no one person is trying to just shoot all the balls, and they play together.
Okay. So like with a team that you had in '96, you had the Ron Mercers, Tony Delk,
Antoine Walker.
Yeah, and to have a point guard like Anthony Epps was there, but I don't have to score. Wayne Turner, I don't have to score. I just got to facilitate. I got you guys. I don't have to score. The nature of that mentality is that mentality that, like, I would say Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo is probably the last of a dying breed.
Yes.
They're the last of a dying breed. Yeah. Would you probably say that so?
I would agree with you 100% because they know how to lead a team. And I think when you lead a team, you can control how the game is played. Well, you got guys just randomly shooting all the balls and just really nobody's talking or leading, anything can happen. And I think you take a risk of putting a guy who just wants to shoot all the balls as opposed to a guy saying, "Oh, slow down, let's get us in a position, let's get us in a play, and let's make this game play the way we want it to play." Like, you should be able to dictate your own game. But when you got to play catch up to another team, you're always going to lose.
Because when we were growing up, I would say, watching the Isaiah Thomases, the Michael Jordans, or even the Dr. J's, or whoever it may be back then toward that. Yes, they may have put on a show, they may have been athletic, but the one thing about it is the Magic Johnson, those guys, they were fundamentally sound. So as a kid growing up, and I watched those guys play, they were superstars, and you would identify with the NBA.
Yeah,
so you're gonna watch the NBA.
Yeah.
So my thing is, when I watch those guys, whether it was Jordan or whoever, Scottie Pippen or whoever, they were fundamentally sound.
Yes.
So even though I'm picking up on them watching them, I'm picking up fundamentals because they played fundamentally.
Yeah.
So what you're saying with Chris Paul and Rajon being the last of a dying breed, the thought and the IQ for the game, do you think the kids are getting that? The youth?
I think the youth are missing the IQ part of the game because of AAU. And once AAU started, it used to be which is where you work on your game, and then you get to showcase it more. Because high school was more like we're trying to win games. Coaches was really trying to get everyone involved. But AAU was, well, okay, let me work on my game. Let me jab step. Let me shoot. Now it's become, let's load up the biggest team, the best team. Don't practice. Don't even know the kid's name. And let's go play and beat everybody. Get a shoe company. Say I'm on the circuit. Do all this and that. Because there's guys on that circuit that really aren't that good, but they're athletic. And then they try to go to college and you're like, well, man, what am I missing? I'm a 5-star. I played on the circuit. What am I missing? IQ. I said, there's kids right now that are smarter than other kids. It's 39% Europeans in the NBA because they can think. A lot of the American kids are going overseas because they can't know how to play the IQ, the game of basketball. And when the coach says that, man, you got to learn to play a game of basketball, they be like, man, I do. Son, you don't. If two people's guarding you, this is that. If they switch, you got a mismatch. If you see that you got a layup, take a layup. Like, they don't see that. And I think the IQ of the game has really been lost from AAU. And not to blame AAU, it's a culprit of things. It went from parents wanting their kids to be 5-stars when they're in the 3rd grade. So you're traveling, spending thousands of dollars on a kid in the 3rd grade instead of teaching them how to play right here. I think you missed the point of getting them to develop and then travel to get different experience to play against them people.
Well, then we'll take it back to this. You growing up. How many coaches how many coaches did you probably have in your life? I'm saying, like, okay, if you're in high school, how many coaches did you have? Probably coach. If you had a club team or AAU team, if you did play AAU coach, and you had your high school coach, maybe 2 at most. Nowadays, you got your high school coach, you got your AAU coach, you got a trainer.
Yeah.
You got about 3 guys in your ear.
Every year, because you don't switch teams. Most guys.
So you see what I'm saying? So the multiple nature of having different thought processes put upon you. Now the kids just are all over the place.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like you probably had one, like you said, you had just your high school coach.
Yeah.
That's it.
We ain't had no AAU.
You see what I'm saying? So so the notion of you had a consistent flow of an ideology from one person. You see what I'm saying? So your mind and your thought process was engaged in one area.
Yep.
Nowadays, like I said, you got your high school coach, AAU coach,
Trainer.
then you got a trainer.
Yeah.
And then you probably had multiple AAU coaches. So the nature of having multiple ideologies or thought processes or philosophies is all over the place.
Yes.
So how could a kid really understand or grab something?
So what you'll tell him something, and then he'll go back and confused when I tell him something, and now he doesn't know what to do.
You see what I'm saying? So what is your thought process on that notion?
Well, I still think it comes down to the parents. I think if the parents would ever put him in a position where say, hey, this is what I want. I think this gets the best out of you. Let's grow with this person. Let's grow with this team, and let's develop. But then if you don't fit well in the high school, you got to go talk to that coach, and not in an aggressive manner, but say, hey, is this the best that my son can get? But I'm telling you, the problem is the parents and the coaches are not always even. The coaches are trying to win games. Like, I watch some high schools now, and they have some talent, but all they care about is winning the game. They don't care about what this kid is developing or not. They got guys at 6'4" sitting on the post. He's not going to be a post player in college. Teach him how to dribble, shoot. Teach him how to develop. They don't develop kids, and then guess what the parents do? They complain because the coach isn't doing his job, and now instead of saying, hey, I got to get my son work with, even if the coach isn't doing it and he's got to do it, they get frustrated. And I don't blame some of the parents. They get frustrated. But you need to work with a player, needs to have a coach and a parent on the same page. They have to. It's an AAU coach and a parent. They got to be on the same page. And the reason why we lose so many of these kids is the kids are making the decisions. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm not this and that. Well, he told you what to do. You got to do it. You can't get everything you want. And I think that's what we're missing. Everyone's not on the same page. And then when you add, like you said, you add another AAU coach every summer, the kid is confused now. So now his IQ has never developed. He's emotional about him not being a man or just too much going on. And I think that's the biggest key. If we can get a parent and a coach on the same page, that child will develop with IQ basketball because he'll know where he's listening to. He'll have some kind of stability. And I think that's the difference in now.
Gotcha. So now we're going to do a segment called Time and Score. Okay, and in this situation, okay, we're going to do it from a college standpoint. And what we're going to do is we're going to say your team is down 2. Minute left. Okay, you're going to length of the court.
Right.
Okay, so we got a diagram right there. Length of the court, 30-second shot clock. Okay, both teams are in the bonus. Okay, you got one timeout. Okay, one timeout. Okay, your two guard is your best player, but he's having an off night. Okay, your 5-man is your second. He's your third leading scorer, but he's having a great night. Okay, so what are you going to look to do?
Well, first you got when you say you got 1 minute of the court. I mean, you got 1 minute in a game, you have plenty of time. Normally teams, if I was on defense, I would just say guard your man, take a little time off the clock, don't let him just get comfortable, but don't give up a layup. So just kind of shadow him, But if someone, depends on how they play me. If they're shadowing me and they're up on me, I'm going to have my 4-man set an up screen, and we're going to try to go score fast. Because if we miss, now I got time to play defense and then go back and try to score again. Like there's games that you can play in because it depends on your defense. If your defense been playing decent all night, I trust my defense to get a stop. But then sometimes they're not. I don't want the official to make a call and give them free throws at the end of the game. We don't get it. Because if you score with a minute to go and the shot clock is at 30 or 35, whatever it is, now I got at least 10 to 15 seconds to score. But I would want my 5 down here if he's playing well. So for me, it's depending on how they're playing. So if they're gonna just match us when we come across here, I'm gonna run a backdoor play for my 2 guard because he's having an off night, but I trust him, and I'm gonna run it with my 5 because everybody's worrying about my 5. So I'm gonna try to figure out, put my 2 and my 5 in the game, and everybody's knowing we're trying to get the big guy the ball, so we could set a stagger screen. I have my 1 here. We'll have my where's my 5 at? Yeah, he's right-handed or left-handed?
That's up to you.
Okay, he's right-handed.
Whatever you want him to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep him over here. So actually, I'm gonna put my 5 here, and put my 2 here, and put my 3 over here, and put my 4 here. So when we run a box set, you have him come off a double, and he's a big guy. So you're having him. He's gonna set a double. We're gonna set this screen. He's gonna come off here. All of a sudden now, we throw him the ball. 4 cuts out over here to this elbow. So if he clears out, now he's gone. Now I set a back screen for him. He fades this way. The guard has to help this way here. My 2 catches the ball here for a layup. So I'm trying to get misdirection. Because if you just stand and watch a guy, now everybody's just kind of playing solid defense. So I had to get my 4 and 3 to move, my 4 to move, and the 4 can come set this flare on the 3 just to get moving. Because the guys are watching the ball like this, but if you set a screen on him over here, so if the 4 gets a screen right here on this guy here, he comes off. Now the defense has to switch here and they can't help. So I'm just trying to get movement. And it's different because you haven't seen that play all day, I'm sure. You ain't seen the big come off, and you throw the 5 the ball, they're like, oh, what's the big doing? So now when you throw it back, you set a back screen, the guy's worried about my big comes off, he said, come on, help, and the 2 gets a bounce pass here and finishes for the game. Now they got misdirection.
Gotcha.
But if you don't have misdirection, everyone's ball watching, it's gonna be hard, because if you throw the ball in the post, you pass it in the post, and you would rely on some of your guys to make open shots, they might not be making it. But if you get it in a layup, now guess what you got? You got something going to the basket. It's less risk throwing the ball. All you're doing is throwing it over the top or a bounce pass or throw it over the guard. And guess what? While all this is going, what your point guard could do? He could break down the defense and go score himself.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, now we're going to do it from a different perspective. So that was the college perspective. Okay. Now we're going to do it from an NBA perspective. Now you got 24 seconds on the shot clock. You're going to length of the floor. So 9 times out of 10, you got 24 seconds on the shot clock when it's taken out. But by the time you cross the half court line,
but you know we can advance the ball.
Huh?
We can advance the ball.
Well, we ain't saying you took the we're just saying on the made basket. Made basket, you got a minute left.
I got you.
You ain't going to give me that variable.
All right.
You trying to throw a variable in there. Like, yeah. Okay. But now you can call timeout and then advance.
But that's my last time out.
Okay, yeah, it's your last time out, though.
No, so I'm not using it.
You got a minute left, so that's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to use it. You're right.
Okay, so you're taking out the length of the floor, 24 seconds, 9 times out of 10 you cross. By the time you get to the half court line, it's probably about 18
it's
seconds.
It's usually 18 because you can't come. 16 is the violation.
Yeah. It's 8 seconds. Yeah. So what are you looking to run? Same. Everything's the same, other than you got the shot clock's different now. So what you gonna do?
Well, you actually could run the same set, but you want to be 5 out.
But you're gonna have to be quicker though, because in college, you had 30 seconds now.
No, what you do is you run the 5 off a down screen here, and then you have them off a flare screen, so it's at the same time. Or you could run this play that we do, is where you put the 1 here, and you put the 2 here, and then you put your 5 here, and you got your 4, 3 here, and what we do is throw the ball here. Now they up screen here. He back screens. He comes off. He can slip. He can do the same thing. He can slip. But your 5-man gets to rip through and score. Is he talented enough to do that? Is he? I don't know. If my 5-man is good enough to rip through, I'm good. But if he's not, I'm going to dribble handoff here, And when he dribble hands off to the 5, the 5 dribble hands off to the 1, now he sets a 5-man screen and the 2 comes off and curl. And if he can catch and shoot, like if it's a Joel Embiid, I'm going to have Joel Embiid come a dribble handoff, set a down screen for the 2, pops up, have him roll right here, throw it to him on the switch. Because Joel Embiid can shoot a fadeaway 5-footer and all that.
Yeah.
Now, if he's Joel Embiid, that's what I'm saying. Joel Embiid can drive this at the elbow, at the middle of the lane.
We're going to say it's not Joel Embiid because, once again, it's your third best player. The 5-man is your third best player having a good night.
Well, he's got a dribble handoff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's going to have to dribble handoff, set a down screen, and
Yeah.
I look for him.
Yeah.
And then guess what? If I don't have it here, I got it to my 2 guard, who's still my best player,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I got them involved, though. I ain't decoying him.
Yeah.
I need him to make a play. He might make that play.
Yeah.
And he comes off, and if it doesn't work, now I got a 2-man game. Well, guess what? My best player and my number 5 who's having a good night.
Yeah.
I trust him, too, to make a play.
Yeah.
I'm not trusting nobody else except the number 5 who's involved because he's having a good game. The defense can't read it. And then my 2 guard, who's my best player, I got to depend on what he's been doing to me the whole year, bringing me home.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, I want to say, Derek, thanks for being on the show today. It was fun having you. It was enjoyable. We got a lot to talk about. We had a good time.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for coming on the show today. And if you could, just anything you got going on right now, please let me know. What else you got going on?
Well, just helping these kids, man, trying to get them in life skills. Life skills is like basketball. You got to think, you got to be smart. You got to be able to control your temper, your emotions, all that stuff you happen in basketball, you got to do in life. So I try to teach life skills with my basketball training that I do at Stamina, and just enjoying life, man, just trying to help these kids be better because they're our future, man. I want my future children and future leaders to understand we got to treat each other with kindness and we got to be smart about life and keep building for the next generation.
Well, once again, man, I appreciate you.
No problem, Coach.
Man, thanks for coming through.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah.